Well, good morning. Welcome to the webinar, Don't Let Rust Slow Down Your Startup, Clean, Safe, Easy Rust Removal. All right, I'm Kristen Moore. I'm the project manager here at ARMOR Protective Packaging, and it's my voice that you're going to hear for the next 30 minutes. And my co-host today is Ryan, who is our industrial sales manager. And again, he is the one who's going to be manning that question box. So at any point throughout the webinar, if you have a question, or if I ask a question and you have the answer, feel free to type it in that question box. So for some of you on this call, you might have been on other ARMOR webinars before, or you might be very familiar with ARMOR. And for other of you, you might need a little introduction or reintroduction to ARMOR. So at ARMOR, while we manufacture rust prevention and rust removal products, we know that our purpose is to protect your brand, your customer's brand, your parts, your customer's parts, and most importantly, your reputation. So here's how we're going to break down the webinar today. These are the categories. We're first going to start talking about rust removal methods. And then next, we're going to talk about Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath. Then we're going to have some pictures and some applications on how Metal Rescue works. Then we're going to talk about, well, how do you set up a derusting station in your own facility? And then last, we're going to talk about Metal Rescue Rust Remover Gel, which is your on-the-spot rust remover. Okay, so let me start by saying this. We are going to stay pretty high level today when we discuss other traditional rust removers and focus on Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath, of course. But if you have any additional questions about these rust removal methods you see right now on your screen, feel free to write in that question box to Ryan, traditional rust removers. And he'll connect you with your technical sales manager to talk about your specific transition from the rust removers that you might be using to Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath. And I also want to preface this webinar by saying each of these items you are looking at on your screen right now, well, they have pros and they have cons. But for today, we are focusing specifically on using Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath as your rust removal solution. And here's why. All right, start at the top of your screen. On the very top of your screen, you can see that we have rust on a metal surface. So then you can pick normally one of these traditional rust remover methods to remove that rust. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see an acid. Or in the next, right in the middle, you can remove rust by sandblasting your metal part. And then look at the right-hand side, you can remove rust by using a grinder. But when you use an acid, when you use sandblasting, when you use grinder, now look at the bottom of your screen. You can see that that metal itself is impacted or affected, or as some people say in the industry, and we're showing it by that bumpiness on that metal, the metal is compromised. And compromised metal can cause you a whole host of issues, in particular, a common one called flash rust. And that's why we're talking about Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath. So, and here's another way to describe it instead of the pictures that you just saw. Look at this chart right now. You can see across the top, we talk about Metal Rescue Bath Gel, and then we just have the words that show those other types of traditional rust removers. So you see acid, you see blasting, you see converters. Now look down the left-hand side of your screen. We've combined the rows into 3 different categories because we call our products safe. We call them clean, and we call them easy. And that's for all ARMOR products. But in particular, we're talking about Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath as safe, such as that first row, safe on skin, safe on metal. Metal Rescue is clean. There's no heavy-duty equipment needed to use, and it's easy. You can dispose of it pretty easy. So if you're deciding, or someone on your team is deciding about a traditional rust remover method and using Metal Rescue that you're going to learn about today, and you want this chart, then just type that in the box to Ryan and say, hey, send me that Metal Rescue difference chart, or just send me the chart, and Ryan will get that over to you. And again, before we move on to talking about Metal Rescue as your rust remover method, I want to say this again. All ARMOR products are clean, safe, and easy. And when we say clean, safe, and easy, we mean these 3 categories. Clean, safe, and easy for your people, clean, safe, and easy for the environment, and clean, safe, and easy for your facility. And if you just want to dive a little bit deeper into not just Metal Rescue, but all of the ARMOR products and how they're all clean, safe, and easy, at any point, if you just type the word green in the question box to Ryan. He'll connect you with the link to our webinar that focuses on our green initiatives and what we mean by clean, safe, and easy. But now, let me get into the reason you're here today. You want to know how to remove rust or not let rust shut down your startup. And we have a solution for you. We have Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath, and that's on the left-hand side. That's for parts that can be soaked. And then we have Metal Rescue Rust Remover Gel, which is for large vertical surfaces. So what you're looking at right there is the gallon, but we have those in industrial sizes. So Metal Rescue comes in a 5-gallon. It can come in a 55-gallon drum. You can get Metal Rescue in a 330-gallon tote. And then the gel that we talked about, and we'll talk about later, comes in 2 sizes as well, a smaller 16-ounce size and then in a 2-gallon size. All right, so what is this Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath? It's in the name. Number one, it's a soak or a bath for your rusty part. And it is safe. If you see those bullet points on your screen, Metal Rescue is safe on your skin. It's safe on metal. It's safe for the environment. It is easy. There is no sandblasting. It is clean. There is no harsh chemicals, and it's cost effective. It's a great way to be able to salvage those metal parts. Metal Rescue is water-based, and we'll talk more about how it works, but it is designed to remove rust from iron and steel. So if your company manufactures metal parts or receives them from a supplier with Metal Rescue on site, you can eliminate rust removal outsourcing or scraping or derusting the corroded metal entirely. We also know that Metal Rescue is safe on machine surfaces, but here's a little tidbit I want to point out. So you might want to jot this down. Metal Rescue is not meant for white corrosion like aluminum. So there's no adverse reactions. It's just not attracted to white corrosion. And we'll talk about what I mean by attracted to white corrosion. And then also something I want you to jot down is Metal Rescue does not work well with magnesium or magnesium alloys. But other than that, Metal Rescue is effective on multiple metals. And while each metal has a different composition and it could have a different cosmetic appearance, you can use Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath on multiple metals. Metal Rescue is also safe on paint, and Metal Rescue is also safe on your skin. It's safe to use without any special handling equipment. You don't have to wear gloves or breathing filtration devices. It has a similar property of soapy water. Now, I do want to add a little tidbit in here that you might want to jot down. If you go and you pick up a bottle of Metal Rescue, say at one of our retail locations like Home Depot, and you're just derusting something at your home, you don't have to wear gloves. You can see right on the picture, right on your screen, you can stick your hand right into it. But if you're doing it in an industrial setting, we recommend that people wear gloves, and here's why. It's the same difference between me not wearing gloves to wash dishes at my house and then someone who works in a restaurant, a professional dishwasher wearing gloves because they're constantly washing dishes in a restaurant. So when it comes to using Metal Rescue, you can stick your hand right into it. But if you are a professional who's going to be using Metal Rescue all day long, we want you to wear gloves to protect your skin from just exposure to liquid for a long time. And then in regards to Metal Rescue, you might be asking yourself, okay, well, this is all very interesting. I see that it's safe, clean, and easy to use. Now, how in the world does it work? And Metal Rescue works by what you see on your screen right now. And I am going to give you the project manager breakdown of how Metal Rescue works, not the technical side, the project manager side. So look at the right-hand side of your screen right now. There's Metal Rescue in a tub, and you have what's floating around in there, chelating agents, and they're just hanging out, floating around. So sometimes I'll call them chelating agents. Sometimes I'll call them the active ingredient in Metal Rescue. And they don't attack any other surface. Now look at the left-hand side of your screen. When it says iron oxide, all those different chemical compounds that you see on there, they're just fancy, different ways to say rust. So iron oxide, I just want you to remember rust, and that's rust on a metal part. Now you take that metal part and you put it into the Metal Rescue bath. Now those chelating agents, and I want to stop and I want to say this because some of you might be a little more technical than me. So you might know that the chelating agent in Latin means claw, but I don't like that because in my brain, it's easier to think of chelating agents as a really strong magnet that's attracted to iron oxide. And because they are only attracted to iron oxide, those active ingredients or chelating agents, they bond to the iron oxide that's on the metal, and they lift it off or remove it from that part. And then that chelating agent and that iron oxide bonded together, well, they're just hanging out in the bath. So now look at the picture on your screen. You can see that Metal Rescue, while it started out clear, it gets darker and darker as that bath is filling up with iron oxides that are bonded to chelating agents. And that chelating technology is why you can stick your hand in Metal Rescue. It's why you can stick rubber or plastic in Metal Rescue. It's why you can have paint on a part and nothing happens to it in Metal Rescue. It's because those chelating agents, well, for lack of a better term, they're kind of picky, and they're only attracted to iron oxide. So again, the chelating agents, they find that iron oxide, they bond together, they remove it from the rust, and they hang out in the liquid. And that's how the chelating agent part of Metal Rescue works. Now let's get into some actual customer uses and some before and after pictures of using Metal Rescue. So this one on your screen right now is an oil filter cap. It's for big engines like Detroit Diesel and Cummins use it. And again, you just take that part and you soak it in the Metal Rescue bath. Now here's another example, and this is someone who is doing a de-rust in their own facility. So you can see right on your screen right now is an engine block. And here's a little note or tidbit I want you to jot down and remember when using Metal Rescue. Metal Rescue is not a degreaser. So before you use Metal Rescue, you want to make sure any grease or grime or material that can block those active ingredients, anything that would block Metal Rescue from getting to the actual iron oxide, is removed. And you can remove grease with your typical degreasers, or sometimes it's just as simple as wiping down the parts to get any of that dirt and grime and grease off. And then they've taken this engine block and they've got a tub of Metal Rescue and they dump it down in there and they let it soak. And then when all the rust is removed, they bring it back out. Now here's another example of someone using Metal Rescue in their own facility. And you can see the gentleman on the screen, no special equipment on. He doesn't have gloves on because he doesn't do this a ton. He doesn't have any type of breathing filtration device on. He's taking that engine head, he's placing it right down in the Metal Rescue bath. And then if you look at the picture on the right, you can see when he brings it back out, you can see the difference between it being rusty and being de-rusted. So these images, if they're kind of starting to pique your interest, what I want to stop and say to you right now is we have Rustom ONeills. And we have different Rustomonials that talk about how our customers have solved their rust issue using either Metal Rescue, so you can get Rustomonials about specific products we have. So if you want a Rustomonial about Metal Rescue, feel free to type that in the box to Ryan and he'll send it over. Or if you want a Rustomonial about a specific industry. So you're thinking, well, I want to see it how you used it on automotive, or I want to see it how you used it on aerospace parts. Then at any point, just type in that question box to Ryan, send me a Rustomonial. He'll send you a Rustomonial based on products like Metal Rescue or based off a specific industry that you are looking at. In addition to Rustomonials, we have different approvals and letters of recommendation for customers. So if you would like one of these sent to you because you'd like to hear how other customers are using Metal Rescue to solve their rust issues or maybe why, then feel free to type letter of recommendation or approval in the box to Ryan. Here's a great example because you can see right in the middle, they liked it because they wanted to use Metal Rescue because it was water-based and it had no vapors. So again, if those are something that you want sent to you, feel free to type that over to Ryan. And again, customers and approvals, these are the individuals, these are the companies, these are the suppliers that are using ARMOR products to solve their rust issues. So if you look at the screen and you think, oh, I want to learn a little bit more about maybe how Federal Mogul or somebody else on here is using Metal Rescue or any ARMOR product, feel free to type that in the box to Ryan. All right, so now that you know a little bit about Metal Rescue and how it works, and why to use that instead of other traditional rust remover methods, a question you might be asking yourself is, well, how do I want to set up a de-rusting tank in my facility? And we break that down into 4 easy steps. So here's the first step on your screen. Number 1, we want you to use a plastic tote or bin. As I mentioned earlier, those chelating agents, they're just kind of hanging out in Metal Rescue and they're waiting to find some iron oxide to be attracted to. So we don't want you to use a metal tub because we don't want that metal rescue to be trying to find iron oxide. I mean, you can use it. We don't want you to. We want you to use a plastic tub because we know that plastic's not impacted by metal rescue. So again, we have metal rescue in 55-gallon drums, 330-gallon totes. And then we also say make sure that you have a drain on the bottom of your tote if you're using that for convenient and easy disposal. And we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to dispose of it. So that's what you start with. Now, I do want to point out something about metal rescue. It works best at 68 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer. So when you kind of start to dip below that 68 degrees, metal rescue moves a little more sluggish. But on the flip side, if you heat metal rescue up, it works faster. So here's a few options to heat metal rescue up. The first on the left-hand side is what we call industrial heating blankets. And then on the right-hand side, what we have is a submersible heater. And I like to equate this to a fish tank heater. You put that heater right into the metal rescue, and because metal rescue is safe on everything except rust, it's not going to impact the heater. So you can use a professional submersible heater, or if you're doing a small amount, maybe you have small parts and you're putting them in a 5-gallon tank, you can even use a fish tank heater to heat that metal rescue up. So again, you might want to jot that down. You really want your metal rescue 68 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer. And now step 3 is something that it's going to be individual to each organization. And that's determining the time it'll take you to remove rust from your metal parts. And that's because some surface metal and parts. So maybe you've got parts that were just in a shutdown maybe last month and you've just got a little bit of rust on them. Well, that could take minutes to remove that rust. Or maybe you've got a part that has sat outside for years, or sometimes we think of like an antique that was laying out in the field for years and years and years. You've got that deep red rust that could take you a few hours. So again, the severity of your rust determines the time it takes to remove rust. So a great question that individuals ask us as well, besides how long is it going to take to remove rust, is, well, how do I know that when the metal rescue itself is no longer usable? And so that's the picture on the left-hand side of your screen. So the right is the clock. How long does it take to remove rust? That's based off of your parts themselves. The left is, well, how do I know when metal rescue is used up? And what I want you to jot down right now is that every gallon of metal rescue can derust half a pound of rust before it stops working. So what I mean by that is there's just no more room left in the bath for those chelating agents who've been paired with iron oxide to hang out. So the metal rescue itself hits its gravity. So before we get too deep into this, what I would say right now, if we've started to pique your interest about derusting in your own facility, I would type in that question box to Ryan, derust tank or derust in our own facility, because at this point, what you want to do is talk with your specific technical sales manager to discuss the process of removing rust on your parts in your facility. And then the last step when you're using metal rescue is when you take the metal out of metal rescue, you have bare metal. And at this point, you can do any of your next steps. You can prime, you can paint, you can put them in process, or you can protect those parts from future rust. And for us, we would say protect those parts from future rust with some form of VCI packaging or using dry coat rust preventable spray. So if you, again, think that you are going to be coming back from a shutdown, or maybe you're thinking ahead to a summer shutdown and you might have some metal that's rusting, then just type in the question box to Ryan derusting tank, and he will get you connected with your technical sales manager to talk about your own tank, your own timeline for it, and then what you do with your metal when you remove it from the metal rescue bath. All right, so here are a few more facts. We're just going to kind of summarize what we went through about metal rescue. Again, that soak time, it varies depending on your metal, 5 minutes to 24 hours. And the factors that come into play are the amount of rust, the type of metal, and the temperature. And then you can see our little star on the bottom. We always want you to put that metal rescue into a plastic container. And then effective life, or how long does it take, or how long until you know your metal rescue is used up? Well, 1 gallon of metal rescue removes half a pound of rust. And then look at that very bottom bullet point on your screen. There's that gravity. So you know that the specific gravity of metal rescue changes from 1.02 to 1.06. And again, don't get too worried about getting that information correct right now. If this is something you're interested in doing, I would suggest typing in that back to Ryan to talk to your technical sales rep about how you set up your own derusting tank. And then last that we haven't talked on too much is, well, disposal. And what's amazing about metal rescue is metal rescue and iron oxide together, well, those things are biodegradable. So if I had maybe like an old toolbox at my house and I have metal rescue and iron oxide, that product is safe enough, I could just dump it right into my yard. But what we do want to say is that sometimes other contaminants are introduced to the process. Maybe you've got some grease, maybe some grime, maybe some oil, maybe another type of contaminant that was on your metal. And if that's the case, then you need to make sure that you dispose of it using the proper techniques for that contaminant. So we always say when it comes to disposing metal rescue, make sure you check with your local agencies on how you should dispose of that type of material. And then here's a great picture. Here's a customer that used metal rescue. On the left-hand side, you can see the before with that harsh, deep red rust. And then after 8 hours of soaking it in metal rescue, there it is. There's that clean, rust-free metal. Now you might be asking yourself, well, we've talked about soaking a lot, but wait, what if I can't soak my part in metal rescue? And for that, we have what's called Metal Rescue Rust Remover Gel. And this is your solution for any vertical surface. This is your solution for maybe specific spot rust, whether on the metal part, maybe on the machinery or the equipment. And this uses a safe and clean and easy technology as well. So here's how Metal Rescue Gel works. Again, 3 easy steps. So it's just different than the bath. So you've got your apply step. So you take your brush and you paint Metal Rescue Gel onto your vertical surface. And then your second step is your cover step. And the reason that you're doing this is because you want to keep gel moist while it's on the metal. So think either saran wrap or plastic film. I've seen big garbage bags used. The whole point of that cover step is keeping that gel moist. And then the last, it really depends on the severity of your rust, how long it takes. But when your rust is removed, then you remove that gel and you just wipe it away. So if you want to learn more about Metal Rescue Gel, then just type gel into that question box to Ryan and he'll send over to you a sell sheet about Metal Rescue Gel and how you can use that on your vertical surfaces. Also during this time, we know that sometimes you just need some of this data for your teams to help make decisions. So if you want any type of material safety test, for example, I just put a few on the screen, but we have it safe on rubber components, safe on plastic. If you look at the screen right now and you see any test that you're like, oh, I need that for my team to look at, then you can just type in that question box to Ryan, I need any material safety test on this. Maybe you know, for example, that your metal also has a lot of rubber components, and you want to see how Metal Rescue Bath is safe on those rubber components. And then we also have for you your, what used to be SDS Sheets, now SDS Sheets. When it comes to no VOCs, no corrosive, no shipping restrictions. So again, if you want these specific SDS Sheets sent to you, then we can get that over to you. Ryan can get that out. Now this slide makes me kind of giggle because I just talked all about Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath and Gel, and they are fantastic products. But beneath that, we hope that you never have to buy them because we have rust prevention technology. And we want you to be able to prevent rust from even happening on your parts. And so if you want to learn a little bit more about, well, how do I prevent rust? How do I prevent rust in the summer shutdown? How do I prevent rust on parts that are being shipped? How do I prevent any of that rust so I never, ever, ever have to use Metal Rescue Rust Remover Bath? Then just type the letters VCI in the box to Ryan. So V is in Victor, C is in Cat, I is in Igloo, VCI in the box to Ryan, and he will connect you with your technical sales representative to talk about, well, how do you prevent rust from even happening? During this time, if you are working from home like me and you have a little bit extra time, I would say check out our website. You don't need to write this down right now. We send it all out to you in an email. And I would also say, and I know I work for ARMOR and I'm biased, but if you've got a few minutes, check out our corporate video. I think it is one of the best corporate videos out there. Also, When you're on the website cruising around, and you've heard me say the terms as well, technical sales representative, here they are. These are the individuals who are going to be able to work with you about your specific Rust problem. They're going to give you all the advice. They're going to give you all the best practices. So if you see a picture above a state, that's who covers that area. But do not worry, if you do not see a picture, look right in the middle of your screen. We have all 50 states covered. And then if you look to the bottom right, we also have coverage in Canada. And in the far right, Fernando is our international sales manager, because ARMOR has partners in 25 countries around the world. So at this point, what I want to do is open it up to questions. These are questions that I started to see come in during this webinar, and maybe a few other questions that we've been asked on other webinars. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Ryan, to answer some questions.
Thanks, Kristen, and thank you to everybody for taking 30 minutes with us this morning. And hopefully you walk away learning a little something here. I'll start while you guys are writing questions in the question box there. I'll start by saying we want to send you guys out swag bags. Maybe some cool ARMOR hat, cool ARMOR t-shirt, or ARMOR mask, I don't know. And then also some literature. Additionally, unique to this webinar is we'd love to send you a metal rescue sample. We'll send you a quart of ready-to-use metal rescue that you can use in your garage, in your shop, just to use it, see how it works. This is sold in retail channels as well, Home Depot, AutoZone. I see some Canadians on here, so Canadian Tire, Napa Auto Parts. So this started as a retail product, and we found a number of industrial applications for it as well, as you've seen. So we'd love to send you a sample of it so you can use it and see it for yourself, see it work for yourself. So if you could put your physical address in that question box. And if you're like Kristen and I working from home, put your home address in that question box so we can make sure we get it to you. One of the best ways to learn and talk about metal rescue is simply just to use it in your garage. One question that came through is, does metal rescue prevent rust once it removes it? And so the answer is no. So what metal rescue does is it returns the metal to its bare metal state, and then you have to do something with it. If you're painting it, you got to prime and paint it. If you're going to leave it as unfinished, you're going to need to use something like our water-based rust preventative dry coat. You're going to have to do something to prevent it from rusting again, because that is exactly what it will do. It's just returning it to its bare metal state. One other one is, and I'll just mention this, we have about 2 minutes left. If you or your customer is in a situation to where they're coming back from the shutdown, lots of rusty parts, doing in-house derusting is certainly an option, and that's the one that we're most familiar with, and that's what we spent most of this webinar talking about, doing your own derusting in-house. If there is so many rusty parts that you guys are not able to do it in-house, or your customer is unable to do it in-house, and you're looking to outsource it, outsource the derusting side of it, please put that in the question box. And what we're going to do is we're going to send you a list of resources of derusting companies that can help you and that can derust your parts and get them back to you if it's too big of a project for you to do in-house. All right, I'm looking through here. I got a lot of addresses, some good questions that some I was able to answer during the webinar. Some I'm going to take offline afterwards. We have about 1 minute left. So just again, thank you for taking time with us today. We're looking forward to working with you.
And I agree to reiterate what Ryan said. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks a lot.